Netanyahu is now demanding that Palestinians in Rafah evacuate. For months, Israel has been telling Palestinians in Gaza to evacuate south, to flee south, that if they go south, they will be safe. We have seen that that is a lie, but now, when they are at the furthest south they can go, Rafah is literally the furthest south in Gaza you can go, they are once again demanding Palestinians evacuate. There are 1.4 million Palestinians in Rafah right now. That is a 63 square kilometer piece of land. It is the most densely populated piece of land on this planet at this moment. And Israel is demanding that all 1.4 million Palestinians immediately leave. Now, they're not going to help them leave. They're not going to do anything to let them leave. But they are demanding that Palestinians either get out or stay and let Israel murder them. Those are the two options. This is genocide and ethnic cleansing encapsulated so clearly, so obviously. There is absolutely no argument to be had. This was calculated. This was planned. From the beginning, Palestinians have been saying it is so clear that Israel wants to move all Palestinians south and then give them the options of leave, get out, go to Egypt, or we're going to kill you. Those are the two things available to Palestinians in Rafah right now. 1.4 million people are being asked to enter forced exile, never to return to their homes, to their land, or be murdered.
That was the most dishonest take I've ever seen in my life. I mean, not in my life, but it's really high up there. Holy crap, that was so bad faith. We're living in the upside down world. Okay, let's take this out one by one. Okay, let's go through this one by one. Okay, so
Netanyahu is now demanding that Palestinians in Rafah evacuate.
By the way, so here's the thing. Mentioning Netanyahu is, I think, by design here, because among a lot of people who support Israel, a lot of them don't like Netanyahu. A lot of Israelis don't like Netanyahu, right? So it's not just Netanyahu that is demanding these things, right? There are many people in Israel that agree with this plan. So our disagreements with Netanyahu aside, this is the correct plan. So demanding that Palestinians in Rafah evacuate where?
Palestinians in Rafah evacuate.
Right.
For months, Israel has...
Okay, so evacuate. This is just why that. Okay, let's say all of this is just unjustified. Let's say that Israel is evil for asking Palestinians in Rafah to evacuate. Okay, compare that to the enemy. Imagine, guys, imagine if we lived in a world where Hamas, when they wanted to attack Israeli land, they will ask the civilians there to evacuate. I mean, just by the first few seconds of this video, you can see the difference between the Israeli side, okay, and the Hamas side. Did the civilians in Israel got a notice to evacuate before Hamas entered Israel to attack? Because Israelis didn't get a notice to evacuate before Hamas attacking. So again, seems like so far that's a win for Israel. Israel seems to be having an upper hand here in being the moral player. Okay, so let's continue.
Palestinians in Gaza to evacuate south, to flee south. That if they go south, they will be safe.
That's a lie. That's a lie. The idea. So here's the thing. They lie to make it look like Israel is lying. If you evacuate, you will not be safe. You will be safe. Obviously, you're not going to be safe given that Hamas operatives and terrorists are all around there. And sometimes they are forced to take them out because they're hiding among you, right? They're hiding. Sometimes they have to make a calculated decision and take them out, even though they're around civilians, okay? But if that area that you're going in is not going to be under as heavy of a bombardment as the places that we're asking you to evacuate. So see the dishonesty here. The claim is not that if you evacuate this area, you will be in an area where you'll be safe. Obviously, you're not going to be safe. You're in a war zone. But it's good just because you're not going to be fully safe. That doesn't mean that there's no utility. It doesn't mean that there's no utility in telling you where the heavy bombardment is going to be. That is much more than the enemy of Israel is willing to do. The enemies of Israel go for maximum civilian casualty. Israel cannot go for no civilian casualty, but it is going for minimum civilian casualty. That's the difference between Israel and her enemies. Israel goes for minimum civilian casualties. Israel's enemies go for maximum civilian casualties. Even when you're trying to attack Israel, you're showing us how much better Israel is. You're trying to make this sound like a lie by Israel by changing what the statements are. Obviously, they're not saying that if you evacuate this area, you're going to be safe. How could they say that? Do you think that Hamas? Do you think like Hamas operatives are just going to be like, oh, go innocent civilians of Gaza, go to that area. We will stay in the heavy bombardment area, okay? But you go ahead. Obviously, they're going to come with you. And sometimes they're going to be identified. And sometimes, unfortunately, they have to be taken out. And sometimes that way, civilians will die, just like any war. But unlike any other war, so in every war, if you're asking for 0 civilian casualties, what you're asking for is for Israel not to defend itself. Because there is no war, almost no war, with 0 civilian casualties. So obviously civilians will die. You're asking the impossible from Israel because you're asking for Israel to just lay down and die. That's what you're asking. So in every war, we have civilian casualties. However, in this war, Israel has done something that you don't see in other wars. And what is that? Israel has gone out of its way more than any other country in the goddamn world has taken measures, more than even United States, to reduce civilian casualties. The standards that Israel has, I'm not saying there's no mistake. I'm not saying we don't have bad actors in the IDF, but no other army has done as much as the IDF, Israel's military, to reduce civilian casualties. Dropping leaflets, the bombs that the explosions that they do on top of the rooftop so that the people in the building could evacuate themselves. The people that they have in IDF that speak Arabic, that call buildings, the confirmations that they try to get. Even when it comes to attacking Hamas, where Hamas is blocking civilians from evacuating an area, Israelis attack Hamas so that they could open the area for Palestinian civilians to exit that area. Show me what other army in the world has done all of these things to try to reduce civilian casualties. If we have high civilian casualties, it's not because Israel is trying to make it so. It's because Hamas is trying to make it. Blame the high number of civilian casualties on Hamas, not on Israel.
We have seen that is a lie. But now, when they are at the furthest south...
You are lying. Imagine lying to our face right now, saying that the claim was that you're going to be completely safe if you evacuate. You're lying to us, and then you claim Israel is lying. Fucking hypocrite.
That is a lie. But now, when they are at the furthest south they can go, Rafah is literally the furthest south in Gaza you can go. They are once again demanding Palestinians evacuate.
No, they're not. It's demanding. Look at the vocabulary that this lady is using. They're telling you that if you stay in this area, you're more likely to have a bomb dropped on your head. What should the alternative be, lady? Not to tell them that? Not to tell them that? Do you want them not to be told that this is going to happen? Do you understand that will increase the civilian casualty? Do you understand that?
There are 1.4 million Palestinians in Rafah right now. That is a 63 square kilometer piece of land. It is the most densely populated piece of land on this planet at this moment. And Israel is demanding that all 1.4 million Palestinians immediately leave. Now, they're not going to help them leave.
What is the to help them leave? Okay. First, what is the alternative? Obviously, they have to attack Rafah. Obviously, the military objective was to remove Hamas. The correct military objective, which Netanyahu has failed to define, the proper military objective would be to mention to the world is to not to completely annihilate Hamas, because that seems to be impossible, but to remove their ability to rule over Gaza. That is the military objective. That is a well-defined military objective. And obviously, that will not happen if you finalize the job in Rafah. You're attacking Gaza to remove Hamas from power. Well, you have gone all the way. You have to finish the job. If you don't finish the job, we would have to do this thing all over again at some point. And guess what? That would mean more civilian casualties. If you don't finish the job, you have to re-enter Gaza at some point in the future. And as bad as the civilian casualties are right now, it would be more if you don't finish the job right now. Hamas needs to be removed from power. So for the sake of civilian lives, for the sake of reducing civilian casualties, let Israel finish the goddamn job. So if they want to finish the job, what are the alternatives Israel has? To tell the Palestinians that we're going to bombard this area, or not to tell them? Yes, which one of them is going to end in more civilian casualties, lady? And look at what she's demanding. They're not going to help them move. What do you mean help them move? Do you want them to carry them? How would that? Can you explain the military operation that will require? They have literally gone and put their lives at risk to attack Hamas militants that were blocking Palestinians from moving. That's considered helping. What do you mean they're not going to move? Do you want them to send IDF soldiers to carry them while Hamas members are there?